Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at a woman and thought, if only she could see how much I like her, maybe then she'd want me back? Be honest with yourself. How many nights in your room, scrolling your phone, replaying her last text, wondering if she feels the same? And let me hit you with the brutal truth. Reason she's not obsessed with you isn't because you're not handsome enough, not rich enough, or not good enough. It's because you don't know the psychological triggers that make a woman crave you so much that she can't sleep without checking her phone for your name. Now listen, what I'm about to reveal in this video is not some cute dating tip you'll forget tomorrow. No, these 7 psychological tricks I'm about to show you will rewire the way women see you forever. And here's the emotional punch. If you skip this video, you will keep repeating the same mistakes with every single girl who walks into your life. You'll keep watching her give her body, her mind, her heart to another man who does understand these tricks. So if you've ever felt invisible in a bar in London, ignored in a cafe in Manchester, or forgotten in a party in Birmingham, this video is your wake-up call. Watch it to the very end, because if you miss even one trick, you'll miss the chance to finally flip the script and make her obsessed with you. And let me tell you this straight, if you don't smash that subscribe button right now, don't bother coming back later, because the men who stay are about to become unrecognizable in women's eyes. The men who subscribe, who comment, who commit, they're the ones who will take the edge. The question is, will you? Trick 1, the power of unpredictability. Let's start with something most men in England, whether in London, Manchester, or even in small towns like York, completely misunderstand about attraction, the idea of being consistent. You've probably been told that women love stability, right? And while that's true in the long-term sense, no woman wants a man who's completely unreliable. What most men fail to realize is this: when it comes to attraction, predictability is poison. I'll give you a real example. James, a guy from London, worked in finance. He wasn't movie star handsome, but he had decent looks, a good career, and a heart of gold. Every time he liked a woman, he would throw himself fully into it. He'd text her every morning with the same line, "Good morning, beautiful." He'd always say yes when she asked for a favor. He was always available no matter what. Dinner, he was free. Late night phone call, he was there. Weekend plans, he'd cancel his own just to fit into hers. At first, women were flattered. Who doesn't like attention? But soon sparkle faded. Why? Because James became predictable. His patterns were obvious. His emotions were easy to read. And when something is predictable, brain stops releasing dopamine, the chemical of excitement and reward. The thrill was gone. Now let's contrast that with Daniel, a man from Manchester. Daniel wasn't playing games, but he lived a life full of variety. He wasn't always glued to his phone, because he was genuinely busy at the gym, out with his mates at Old Trafford watching football, or working on his passion projects. When he texted a woman, sometimes it was playful and flirty. Sometimes it was teasing, and sometimes it wasn't immediate at all. Not because he was ignoring her, but because he actually had things going on. When Daniel went on dates, he didn't just stick to the same old dinner and a movie routine. One evening, he took her to a rooftop bar in London with a breathtaking skyline view. The next time, it was a spontaneous road trip to Brighton for fish and chips by the sea. Another night, it was just sitting in a quiet park, sharing stories under the stars. Each experience was different. Each one carried a sense of unpredictability. And do you know what happened? Women couldn't stop thinking about him. He occupied their thoughts because they never knew what was coming next. Their brains released dopamine every time he surprised them. That unpredictability created a cycle of obsession. Here's the core psychological truth. Women crave excitement. Stability is attractive once she's already hooked. But to get her hooked, you need to spark emotional highs and lows. That doesn't mean being erratic or toxic. It means keeping her curious, keeping her guessing, and never letting things grow stale. So what's the trick? It's simple. Don't reveal all your cards. Don't give her every detail about your life on first date. Keep some mystery. Share parts of yourself slowly in layers. Change things up. If you're always available, she'll assume you have nothing else going on. If you surprise her, whether it's with your plans, your sense of humor, or the way you communicate, she'll feel that spark that turns into obsession. The power of unpredictability works because it ties into a primal truth. The human brain is addicted to novelty. Women in England, America, anywhere in the world, it's the same psychology. Predictability breeds boredom. Unpredictability creates desire. Trick 2, the emotional mirror. Now let's dive into something even more powerful, the emotional mirror. Imagine this Sarah, a woman from Birmingham, had been dating Mark for 6 months. Mark was a solid guy. He had a good job, he was polite. He never cheated and he always tried to solve her problems. But whenever Sarah talked about her feelings, Mark brushed them off without realizing it. If she said, "Work is stressing me out," "My boss is on my back all the time," Mark would say. "Don't worry, just talk to him. It'll be fine." If she said, "I feel like my friends don't value me," Mark would reply, "That's nothing, you'll get over it." On the surface, Mark thought he was being helpful. But what Sarah felt was that he wasn't listening. He was dismissing her emotions, replacing them with logic, and slowly her attraction faded. She didn't feel connected. She didn't feel understood. Then Sarah met Chris, a guy from Brighton. Chris wasn't wealthier or better looking, but he had something Mark didn't: empathy. When Sarah opened up, Chris didn't rush to fix her problems. Instead, he mirrored her emotions. If she said, "Work is stressing me out," "My boss is on my back all the time," Chris leaned in, made eye contact, and said, "That must feel suffocating. Like no matter how much effort you put in, it's never enough." Instantly, Sarah felt understood. If she said, "I feel like my friends don't value me," Chris replied, "That's draining. Giving so much of yourself and not feeling it returned, that must feel lonely." Notice what Chris did. He didn't solve her problems. He didn't tell her she was wrong. He mirrored her emotions back to her. And in that moment, Sarah felt truly seen. She felt safe with him. She felt bonded to him in a way she never did with Mark. That's the emotional mirror at work. Here's the psychology when you mirror a woman's emotions. Her brain releases oxytocin, the hormone of bonding and trust. It's the same chemical mothers release when they nurture their children. It's the same reason why women get addicted to the man who listens deeply rather than the one who just gives advice. Men in places like London often make this mistake. They think being a problem solver is what makes them valuable. But in reality, what makes you magnetic is your ability to make her feel understood. That feeling is rare. And when she finds it in you, she won't want to let it go. So here's the trick. Next time a woman shares something, don't jump in with solutions. Pause. Listen. Repeat her emotions back in your own words. If she's excited, amplify her excitement. If she's sad, acknowledge her pain. This creates a deep emotional bond. And when a woman feels bonded, she becomes obsessed. Not because you manipulated her, but because you gave her what most men never do: understanding. The emotional mirror is subtle but deadly effective. It bypasses logic and hits her emotions directly. And in relationships, emotions always win. Perfect and understood completely, brother. We'll now expand Trick 3 and Trick 4 into 800 words each, keeping the chapter names the same tone, same storytelling style, using English county examples: London, Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, Brighton, etc., and making it professional, engaging, and packed with creativity that hooks viewers till the end. Trick 3, the scarcity principle. Let me tell you something that men across England, from the fast-paced streets of London to the cozy cafes of Brighton, often overlook. What is scarce becomes valuable. It's not just economics, it's psychology, and women are wired to respond to it. Picture this, Alex. A lad from Birmingham liked Sophie, a girl he met at a pub near Broad Street. Alex thought the way to win her heart was to flood her with attention. He texted her constantly, liked every single one of her Instagram photos, and made sure she knew he was available 24/7. At first, Sophie was flattered, but quickly, she realized she didn't have to earn his attention. He was giving it away for free. There was no challenge, no excitement. He was always there. And soon, Sophie lost interest. Now let's contrast this with Oliver from Manchester. Oliver was confident, charming, but most importantly, selective. He didn't hand out his attention like free samples at Tesco. If Sophie texted him, he might reply, sometimes immediately if he was free, but other times only after finishing his workout or a meeting. When he took her out, he enjoyed the moment. But he also made it clear through his actions that his life was full. He had mates, hobbies, goals, and passions. He wasn't chasing her. He was inviting her into his world. And guess what? Sophie became hooked. She wondered what Oliver was doing when he wasn't texting her. She replayed their conversations in her head, analyzing every word. She felt a sense of urgency to secure his time and attention because it wasn't available to just anyone. That's the scarcity principle at work. When your time, attention, and energy are scarce, women perceive them as valuable. And when they're valuable, she'll do more to earn them. It's the same reason why limited edition trainers in London sell out within minutes, or why tickets to a Liverpool vs Manchester United match vanish faster than you can click. Buy. Scarcity creates obsession because it makes people feel like they're part of something rare, something not everyone can have. Here's the killer truth. Women in England and everywhere else are not obsessed with men who are desperate to be chosen. They're obsessed with men who make them feel like they've won the prize. If you position yourself as the prize by living a full, exciting life and not giving away all your attention, you create that scarcity. But let me be crystal clear. Scarcity doesn't mean playing childish games or deliberately ignoring her. It means being genuinely busy building a life so fulfilling that your time is naturally limited. It means not canceling football night with your mates in Liverpool just because she texts you last minute. It means keeping your attention focused on things that matter, and then choosing to share it with her in meaningful doses. When you live this way, women start to value you differently. She'll think, if he's giving me his time, it must mean something. Because this man doesn't waste it on just anyone. And that's when obsession kicks in. Trick 4, the push-pull effect. Now let's talk about a psychological trick that's so powerful, it almost feels unfair. The push-pull effect. This principle works because women are emotional creatures, and emotions thrive on contrast. If you only ever give positive attention, the impact fades. But when you mix it with playful teasing or light emotional tension, you create a roller coaster that she doesn't want to get off. Let me paint a picture. Imagine Ethan from London. On his first few dates with Emma, he showered her with compliments. You're gorgeous. You're perfect. I've never met anyone like you. And while Emma smiled, after a while those words lost their impact. They became background noise, predictable, expected. Now look at Jack from Liverpool. Jack knew how to balance push and pull. On one date, when Emma walked in looking stunning, he said, "Wow, you look incredible tonight. Although I'm still trying to figure out if you're more trouble than you're worth." That's pull followed by push, compliment followed by playful challenge. When Emma tried to flirt, Jack didn't melt immediately. If she teased him, he teased her back. If she got a little distant, he gave her space instead of chasing. Jack created moments where Emma felt the warmth of his approval, then moments where she questioned, wait, does he really like me as much as I think? And that emotional back and forth hooked her in like a game she desperately wanted to win. Here's the psychology behind it. The push-pull effect triggers dopamine spikes. When a woman gets affection, pull, she feels good. When that affection is slightly withdrawn, push, her brain craves it back even more. It's the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. The uncertainty keeps you coming back. But here's the catch, you have to do it playfully, not cruelly. Push-pull isn't about being toxic or manipulative. It's about creating emotional variety. Think of it like seasoning on food. Too much salt ruins the dish, but just enough makes it unforgettable. Practical examples. When she compliments you, thanks, but don't let me catch you getting too obsessed with me. I need to keep my freedom. When she tries to playfully argue, you're actually kind of cute when you're wrong. When she asks if you missed her, of course, but don't let it go to your head. This playful dynamic makes her feel both desired and challenged. It keeps her on her toes. And in places like Manchester or London, where women are used to men either being overly serious or too nonchalant, the push-pull effect stands out like a lighthouse in the fog. When you master this, women don't just like you, they become addicted to the emotional ride you give them. And that addiction, my friend, is what creates obsession. Trick 5, emotional imprinting. Here's the truth, most men don't realize walking through the streets of London or sitting in a pub in Manchester. Women don't just remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. This is the secret of emotional imprinting. And once you understand it, you can make any woman obsess over you without trying to be someone you're not. Think about James, a guy from Brighton. Every time he went on dates, he followed the same pattern. Dinner, light chat, compliments. and then waiting for the night to end. Nothing wrong with that, but the problem was this. There was nothing memorable. No emotional spikes, no imprint on the woman's heart or mind. After the date, she'd go home, scroll through Instagram, and forget about James by the next morning. Now let's look at Daniel from London. He understood the power of emotional imprinting. On his date with Sarah, instead of just talking about generic stuff, he created experiences. He asked questions that made her think deeper. What's the one thing you've always wanted to do but never had the courage for? When she laughed, he teased her in a way that sparked chemistry. When she shared something vulnerable, he listened so intently that she felt like the only woman in the world. By the end of the night, Sarah didn't just remember the food or the place, they weren't important. She remembered how Daniel made her laugh until her cheeks hurt, how he looked her in the eyes when she revealed a personal story, how he teased her about her love for coffee from little cafes in Manchester. These moments imprinted on her emotionally, and long after the date, she replayed them in her mind. That's when obsession begins, not from logic, but from feelings. Psychologists call this the peak end rule. People don't remember experiences as a whole. They remember the emotional highs and the emotional endings. If you create both, you leave her hooked. So how do you do it? By being unpredictable, authentic, and emotionally present. Mix humor with depth. Tease her and then genuinely compliment her. Share a story about your own life in Birmingham. Maybe a time when you failed badly, but learned a powerful lesson. Vulnerability, when combined with confidence, makes women feel safe and connected. Think about concerts in Liverpool or football matches at Old Trafford. Why do fans remember them so intensely? Because they create emotional highs. That's the same principle you need to apply in your interactions with women. Make her feel excitement, laughter, curiosity, and intimacy in the same space. When you do that, she can't stop thinking about you, because you've emotionally imprinted yourself into her memory. Men who understand this don't need to chase. They don't need to send 20 texts a day or buy flashy gifts. They simply know that women become obsessed with how you make them feel, and feelings always outweigh logic. That's the secret weapon of emotional imprinting. Trick 6. Mystery and unpredictability. Let me tell you something that drives women in English counties absolutely crazy in a good way: mystery. Mystery and unpredictability are like oxygen to attraction. Women may say they want a man who's simple and easy to read, but the reality is when they figure you out too quickly, the excitement dies. Picture Tom from Liverpool. He was the kind of guy who laid everything out in the open. He'd tell a girl on the very first date what his salary was, what his weekly schedule looked like, where he hung out every Friday, even what gifts he planned to buy her for Christmas. Predictable to the core. At first, women appreciated the honesty, but after a while they got bored. There was no tension, no curiosity, no reason to keep peeling back layers. Now think about Adam from London. Adam was confident but also mysterious. He didn't overshare. When a woman asked him, "So what do you do on weekends?" he'd smile and say, "I like to keep my Saturdays interesting. Maybe one day you'll find out." That answer sparked curiosity. He wasn't lying, but he wasn't giving away the entire story either. When he went out with Emma from Manchester, he surprised her by taking her to an underground jazz bar she had never even heard of. The next time, instead of planning the same old dinner, he invited her to a spontaneous road trip to Brighton, just to see the sea at night. Emma never knew what was coming next, and that unpredictability made her feel alive. Here's the psychology. Women's brains are wired to seek novelty. When things are unpredictable, dopamine is released. And dopamine is what fuels obsession. The same reason people binge watch Netflix shows or keep scrolling TikTok. It's the unpredictability of what's coming next that keeps them hooked. But don't mistake mystery for secrecy or being distant. Mystery is not about hiding important things or lying. It's about not putting all your cards on the table at once. It's about letting her discover you piece by piece, like a story that unfolds chapter by chapter. Here's how you apply it in your own life. Don't always text at the same time every day. Keep her guessing when she'll hear from you. Mix your compliments with playful challenges. "You look stunning tonight, but I'm not sure you could beat me at pool." Instead of answering every question directly, add a twist. If she asks, "What's your favorite place in London?" reply with, "That depends. Are we talking about the places I tell everyone, or the ones I save for someone special?" Women from Birmingham to Liverpool become addicted to men who make them feel like there's always more to discover. When you're unpredictable, Every interaction feels like a new chapter, and she can't wait to see what's next. Mystery creates tension. Tension creates excitement, and excitement creates obsession. Trick 7. Scarcity and value. Here's something most men in London pubs or Manchester cafes never understand. Women are not drawn to men who are always available, always saying yes, always waiting by the phone. Women are drawn to men who have value, and value is created by scarcity. The less common something is, the more attractive it becomes. Think about it. Why do people line up outside luxury stores in Birmingham when they could just walk into a supermarket? Why do limited edition trainers in Liverpool sell out in minutes while regular shoes sit on shelves for months? Because scarcity creates demand, and women's attraction works the same way. Let's take two men as examples. First, there's Chris from Manchester. Chris thinks that being available 24/7 is the best way to win a woman's heart. The moment she texts, he replies. If she wants to meet, he cancels his own plans just to be there. He even brags about how he's different from other guys, because he'll always put her first. At first, women appreciate the attention, but soon they start feeling something else: boredom. Chris becomes predictable, and predictability kills attraction. Now look at Ethan from London. Ethan is confident, social, and focused on his goals. He likes women, but his life doesn't revolve around them. When he met Sophie, he didn't cancel his football game in Liverpool just because she wanted to meet on the same night. He said, "I'd love to, but I already have plans. Let's do Saturday instead." That one line communicated volumes. Ethan had a life, Ethan had priorities, and Ethan wasn't desperate. Sophie couldn't stop thinking about him afterward because his time felt valuable. Scarcity doesn't mean ignoring. Women are playing games. It means showing that your attention, your time, and your energy are not handed out cheaply. Just like diamonds are valuable because they're rare, a man who values himself becomes rare in a world full of men begging for validation. Women in Brighton or Birmingham don't fall for the man who's always chasing. They fall for the man who makes them feel like they've earned his attention. And once they feel that, obsession grows. Psychologically, this taps into something called the scarcity principle. People desire what is limited, exclusive, or hard to get. A man who's constantly free signals low demand. A man who's focused on his life, career, passions, gym, friends in Manchester or London signals high demand. And high demand creates high value. But here's the catch. Scarcity must be authentic. If you pretend to be busy but are secretly just scrolling on your phone in your flat, she'll sense it. Authentic scarcity comes from actually living a life full of purpose and drive. Maybe you're working on your business in Birmingham, training for a marathon in Liverpool, or planning a trip to explore hidden cafes in Brighton. When a woman sees that you're genuinely engaged in your own world, she wants to be a part of it. Think about concerts at Wembley Stadium. Tickets sell out in minutes, not just because of the music, but because people know the experience is rare, limited, and special. That same principle applies to you. If you're always available, your tickets never sell out. But if your attention is selective, women line up for the chance to be chosen. Here's how you put this into practice. Don't always say yes. Protect your time. Invest in your goals and passions, whether that's business in London, sports in Manchester, or travel adventures around England. When you do give her your attention, make it intense, focused, and unforgettable. Quality over quantity. The result? She doesn't just like you, she obsesses over you. Because she knows that your time isn't cheap, and your attention isn't guaranteed. You become the rare man in a world of common men. Scarcity plus value. That's the formula that flips the script. Instead of you chasing her, she starts chasing you. Conclusion. And there you have it. 7 psychological tricks that can make any woman completely obsessed with you. But here's the truth most men will ignore. Knowing this information means nothing if you don't use it. You can either keep living the same story, chasing women who don't value you, replaying old heartbreaks in your head, watching her give her love to someone else, or you can step up and flip the game. Because women don't fall for men who wait, they fall for men who understand. And right now, you understand more than 99% of men walking the streets of London, Manchester, or New York. You have the power to make her crave you, respect you, and never want to let you go. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just watch this video and disappear. Prove that you're not like the weak men who scroll past wisdom. Smash that subscribe button right now because the next videos I'm dropping will unlock even deeper secrets women will never admit to your face. And if you don't subscribe, don't blame me when the next guy who did becomes the man she can't stop thinking about. Drop a comment below with the one trick that hit you the hardest, because saying it out loud locks it into your mind forever. This is your moment to choose. Stay the same or become unforgettable. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.